The night they dared him felt harmless at first, like the kind of joke men made when they were tired, underpaid, and pretending they weren't lonely. Andrew Carter stood in the glow of a flickering break-room light at a logistics warehouse outside Columbus, Ohio, listening to laughter echo off stained walls, when someone said the words that would split his life into a before and after. They dared a single dad to sleep with his boss, and the air tightened as if it knew something Andrew didn't yet. His chest clenched, not from temptation but from the weight of how easily people forgot what he carried home every night. The laughter faded, and the dare landed on him like a dare to betray the one promise he had never broken. If you believe stories about kindness, second chances, and quiet courage still matter, take a second right now to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel so more stories like this can reach the people who need them. Andrew had learned how to survive on routines after his wife passed away from a sudden illness 3 winters earlier. He woke before dawn, packed lunches with notes for his 8-year-old son Noah, and drove through fog that clung to the Ohio River Valley, practicing gratitude like a muscle he was afraid to let weaken. He worked hard because he had to, but also because work gave him a place to put his grief where it wouldn't spill onto his son's math homework or bedtime prayers. His boss, Rebecca Lawson, was the kind of woman people described as unapproachable because she didn't waste words. She had earned her place running the regional operation, had a spine of steel and a calendar that never seemed to sleep. Andrew admired her from a distance, the way you admire a mountain for its strength and keep your feet planted at the base. The dare came from coworkers who didn't know his story well enough to respect it. They knew Rebecca was divorced, knew rumors about her long hours and empty condo, and they mistook Andrew's quiet nature for loneliness that could be fixed with a reckless night. He laughed it off at first, because laughter was armor, but the idea stuck like a burr. He hated that it did. Temptation doesn't announce itself as evil, it arrives wearing the mask of relief. Andrew went home that night to Noah asleep with a book on his chest, a drawing taped to the fridge that said, "Dad is my hero," and he felt the kind of shame that comes from imagining a life that would cost you the only thing you truly wanted to keep. Over the next week, work pressed in on him from all sides. A missed shipment threatened contracts, overtime piled up, and Rebecca called him into her office late one evening when the warehouse quieted and the city lights began to blink awake. The door closed softly behind him, and the room smelled faintly of coffee and rain from an open window. Andrew's pulse hammered for reasons he didn't fully trust. Rebecca had always been professional, but there was a heaviness in her eyes that night, a fatigue that stripped away the myth of invincibility people wore onto her. She thanked him for staying late, spoke about trust, about how hard it was to carry responsibility alone. Andrew listened, steady and respectful, reminding himself that listening was what he did best. It would have been easy to misread the moment, to let silence turn into something else. The dare echoed in his mind like a dare to abandon the man he had become. Andrew cleared his throat and spoke about Noah, about how being a father had changed the way he made decisions, about how he couldn't afford shortcuts even when they looked like rest. He expected Rebecca to nod politely and move on, but instead she surprised him with honesty that felt like a hand on his shoulder. She told him she had seen him show up every day with patience and grit, that she admired the way he led without demanding attention. She told him that whatever rumors people told themselves about power and desire, she would never want to be the reason a good man lost himself. Her words stopped him cold, not because they rejected him, but because they honored him. In that quiet office, Andrew felt something he hadn't felt since before his wife died, a sense of being truly seen. Rebecca spoke about her own failures, about a marriage that had unraveled under the weight of ambition and fear, about nights when success felt like a house with the lights on and no one home. There was no flirtation, no line crossed, just a truth exchange between two adults who knew the cost of pretending. Andrew realized then that respect was a rarer gift than attraction, and far more sustaining. He left the office with his back straighter, the dare deflated into something small and forgettable. The days that followed were not magically easy. The warehouse still demanded sweat, Noah still needed help with fractions, and grief still arrived unannounced. But something had shifted. Andrew stopped measuring himself by the jokes of others and started measuring himself by the promises he kept. He volunteered for a mentoring program at work, teaching younger employees how to plan and communicate. how to build a life that didn't crumble when tested. Rebecca noticed, not with praise, but with opportunity. She put him in charge of a team, trusted him with decisions, and backed him when mistakes happened. Trust, Andrew learned, grows best in the soil of integrity. At home, Andrew learned to let joy be simple. He and Noah cooked spaghetti and burned the garlic bread, laughed at their own clumsiness, and started a tradition of Sunday hikes along wooded trails near their apartment. Andrew talked to Noah about choices without preaching, about how doing the right thing often felt like standing still while the world rushed past. Noah listened with the seriousness only children have when they sense the truth beneath the words. Andrew felt proud, not because he was perfect, but because he was present. Months later, the warehouse hosted a community fundraiser, and Andrew watched Rebecca speak to donors with a calm confidence that no longer looked lonely to him. He understood now that strength did not require isolation. They exchanged a smile across the room, one that carried gratitude without expectation. The dare had tried to turn him into a story he didn't want to tell, but Rebecca's words had given him a better ending, one built on dignity. Life did not reward Andrew with sudden romance or dramatic applause. It rewarded him with mornings that felt earned, with a son who slept peacefully, with work that mattered. In choosing restraint, he had chosen himself. In honoring respect, he had found a quiet kind of love that didn't need to be named to be real. If this story is touching your heart, please pause near the end and engage with the video by liking, sharing, or subscribing so stories of courage can keep finding their way to people who need them. Before we close, leave a comment telling us what part of Andrew's journey stayed with you the most and why it mattered to you. Andrew never forgot the night the dare landed and dissolved. He carried it as a reminder that the bravest moments often happen in rooms without witnesses, when a person decides who they will be long before anyone is watching. He tucked Noah into bed one night, kissed his forehead, and whispered a promise he intended to keep. The world would keep daring him to be less than he was, but he would keep choosing to be more.